Oh, how I'd rather be on a beach somewhere, enjoying the quiet life, instead of having to face cancel culture business and accusations 9 times in the past 3 years. And I'll tell the story here now because a news story about me broke a little bit more than a week ago. And there's a professor in the story who's got my back. And he's tried to hire me all through 2021, and I'll get to that. But let's start at the bottom. Let's start at number 9, because this happened just a year ago. There was this panel debate at the University of Oslo by some historians who wanted to address the topic of use and abuse of the Viking Age, which is quite an interesting topic. And the reason why they wanted this debate was because this woman in the Viking reenactment community in Norway had gone out publicly with this piece here, "The Beast I Can't Control," claiming that there's a lot of racism in the Viking reenactment communities in Norway. And mind you, I got a lot of friends who are in those communities, and they have been there far, far more and been more central than she. And I've asked them about these claims, and they say, no, Sturla, relax. There's nothing more than the rest of society. Let's just chill about this. But also I wanted to, I'll get back to this, but look here, because she writes, because let's face the truth. Historically, the Vikings do have a shady reputation. Now, do they really? And that's what this channel is about. But I can assure you, not everyone likes that people like me talk positively about Vikings and the Viking Age. Anyways, to get back to the story, she claimed or complained that some of her posing on Instagram, like this one, I guess trying to resemble a Viking woman. I don't think too many Viking women post in this way, by the way, but in any case, she was appalled to find out that extremists, or I don't know, right-wing groups, as she writes, would abuse these photos of her. And that led her to write this piece, and the news papers caught on, and she claims that there was so much far-right extremism in these communities that now she's not gonna play Viking or be in the Viking reenactment communities anymore. And here's the deal. So when I was invited to this, not a conference, but a panel debate to talk about this, the organizers were suddenly attacked by several people in this Viking reenactment communities who were a little bit anti-racist and claiming that this was wrong to do this panel debate. And there was this aggressiveness that they talk about here. Even some of these organizers are supporters of Israel in the Middle East, and that was wrong as well for some reason. I don't know what that has to do with the Viking Age. But they wrote this after the panel debate, but before they had to do something, and they decided to boot someone. So I was outed from the panel debate, and then that somehow eased people's minds. And the panel debate went on as planned, and they write here that luckily the aggressiveness and these accusations up front didn't follow through in the panel debate itself, so it went along just fine. But they had to write about it because they were quite shocked. And I'll get this point here, by the way, that the Vikings have a shady reputation. That brings me to number 8, because about the same time I was planning to take people who are interested in history and like to hear me talk about history in different places, like on Sicily and other countries. I've talked about this on this channel. We're going to do this year, 2022. Last year I was here at this longhouse outside of Oslo, and we were about 20-25 people going there talking about Vikings. And And here we have a shot of us inside this longhouse. Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful, the whole thing. The only problem was that these organizers who were helping me plan this trip and go through with this trip, they were contacted by this archaeologist who claimed that they shouldn't be working with me. That means Sturla. And the reason for this is that I'm not a good person, and I'll read you something here because I contacted this archaeologist afterwards and I wanted to hear his story. We had a nice conversation, but I wrote down what he said. For example, he said the totality here, how I work with both DNA and skeletons, and I talk positively about the Viking Age as a nice time. Means that I'm moving towards, dangerously towards a genetic explanation for a master race, he said. And I'm just thinking, here, blow me. I mean, both in number 9 and this number 8, you have people here who seriously believe that everyone believes, and that it's truth that the Vikings were one race, sort of. And that's what they use to, like a straw man, to put blame on you. But that's not really how it works, right? And as I said many times on this channel here, the Scandinavians in the Viking Age were consistent of many different groups of peoples. They were not one master race or anything like that, not one even group at all. And wherever there was trade, we know Vikings traveled a lot. I'll get back to that also, because that's another reason for this cancel business. So these collaborators I had, when they got this phone call, they was a little bit concerned, but they did the sensible thing, which was to contact me. We had a talk about it, and that was it. But around the same time, number 7 happened. And that's this guy from a video I made where they are building a Viking ship currently outside of Oslo. And the same group that was going to this longhouse was also going to this Viking ship build. And I made videos about that. I know many of you have seen these videos. Ragnar here, he's a great guy. He was very someone in the Viking reenactment community who was doing sewing. I guess that's a side community within that community. Contacted him and tried to tell all these lies about me, and trying to get him to disconnect our connection, in a sense. And that didn't work out too well, because Ragnar, he knows me. And as you can see here, Big Ragnar, he did the only sensible thing. He called me and told me about this, and we had a nice chat, and we went ahead, of course, and did what we planned to do. But now, let's get to a more serious one, on number 6. Because this has been one of the more pleasant things I've done in the past 3 years. Going on TV, recording and expeditions with Swedish Hollywood actor Peter Stormare. Man, that was great. Such a nice experience. The American Runestone. I was there for several of the episodes, especially in season 2. And as I tell you, this was a great experience. I mean, we had such a nice time talking about Vikings, having this great interest in Vikings. And for some reason, this was almost shattered by this leader who works in, as you see here, NRK, Norway's largest media organization. And there's a leader who's pretty high up. I know who he is. He called them. He called the producers over in Hollywood and said, hey, you shouldn't work with Sturla. And they came up with, this guy, he came up with lies again and tried to have me cancelled. And luckily, they did the sensible thing. They called me and said, "What is this, Sturla, that we're hearing? It's not very nice now, is it, to come with these accusations? So can we talk about it?" We did. And we ended up proceeding with the plans as usual, as we had planned. And that gave us some great experience together, recording this TV documentary. It's called now in the US, Secrets of the Viking Stone, and American Runestone in Scandinavia. Same name, I guess, in a sense. And I'll play a clip here now. You can see the really nice, enjoyable time we had together.
Oh, Kensington, I miss you dearly.
You do
Oh,
a harmony?
Kensington, I must go back
He's so high up there.
Yeah.
to where they...
Yeah. And, you know, can't believe people go around wanting to cancel people. That's one thing. But, you know, they're destroying, or at least trying to destroy, a person's life, you know, his career, his name and reputation. It's not a really nice thing now, is it? And it's really hard to get these accusations thrown at you also. I mean, I'm not alone, of course, and I see people experience a lot of worse stuff and accusations that I have, but I mean, the consequences are so severe, and having to go through this, the mental part of it, means it's not really for everyone. Now, is it? And that brings me to some of the more tougher issues. Let's go to number 5. And you thought this was going to be number 1, huh? No, it's number 5. And for those of you who don't know, I made a video about this. I've been cancelled. It's actually four videos following up what happened at that time. And I made a video a week ago, yet another experience with cancel culture, based on this news story, which is about this case here. So I'll do it short for now, because this was about this research paper on Vikings, which I was a co-author on, having worked, well, close to 10 years in Denmark on different DNA projects, and for several years on this Viking paper. And there was so much interesting in this Viking paper to talk about with the media. And I didn't criticize the results from the paper. I criticized the professor Eske Willerslev and his the way he talked with the media, with the journalists, that gave us headlines like this and photos like this, and also headlines like this: Vikings were neither blonde nor Scandinavians, it says here. I mean, come on. And also this here, there weren't that many Vikings at all in Norway and Sweden, except for the rest of Scandinavia. No, sorry, except for Denmark and a couple of islands. The rest of Scandinavia was the rotten banana at that time. And of course, I had to say something to that. I had to try to defend the Viking history in Norway. Together with another professor, we went out and we didn't want to criticize the paper, but we criticized, yes, the main professor, who reacted violently, I have to say, towards me, and accused me of racism and lots of other stuff, unless I kept quiet about this booting, cancelling. And I did the opposite, because I thought, you know, if I just stick to the facts here and don't go head to head talking about feelings like he wants me to do, then I got a good case, and I'll show you the case here now. Look at this map. No places along the Norwegian coastline between Trondheim and Oslo are there samples in this study. And where did the Norwegian Vikings mainly come from? Well, it's this area. So you can't really go out and say something conclusive about Norwegian Viking history. No, can you? And that was my story. And if you want to check out, you can go on this video a week ago regarding this news story, where I talk a little bit more about that. But that was number 5. Let's move to number 4. Because then, after this happened, some other things started happening, which wasn't all that nice to experience. I started working in different projects with the Max Planck Institute instead, and Professor Dr. Johannes Krause, that you see here from another YouTube video where we talk about DNA together. Now, he also got a phone call from a distinguished, very respectable archaeologist in Scandinavia, who called him solely to get him to counsel me. And that didn't work. He did a reasonable thing, sensible thing, and talked to me about it, and we were able to sort it out without too much issue, and that was it. But again, quite uncomfortable, and since this was such a big, prominent figure, it was very, very unpleasant. Let's get to 3. In number 3, I'll show you here from a video in Copenhagen. As I said, I had different research projects. This is the project about the Viking Rollo. And I was here delivering a tooth from a tomb we opened in Normandy to the closest relative that we could find skeletons of. That's another story in any case. But at this time, the people down there, and especially this one archaeologist, which I was very close to before I was booted out of Copenhagen, got a phone call from an archaeologist in Oslo, a woman, and I think I know who she is. We'll get to that. Telling a story about how she and everyone in Copenhagen should cut all ties with me. As I say, I think I know who this is now. But I've been wondering about this for a couple of years, and I thought, that's really, really bad style in a sense, because I have a lot of documentation how I personally was instrumental in connecting professors and universities in Norway in this new big research project that they're all involved in, which I was kicked out of. I have lots of emails how I tried really, really hard for several months to set up this first meeting, initial meeting. And where also this one woman who called here works, if it's her. So I thought I was kind of rude in a sense, very bad style, and that brings me to number 2. And that's this news story that broke a little bit more than a week ago. This professor here, who's been trying to hire me for such a long time, he tells this story about this female archaeologist from the Natural History Museum of Norway, who called him in April last year. As it says here, she wanted to know if I was going to work there and do research there, and what I was going to work with. And then when she confirmed this, but he felt it was very, very unpleasant and very unusual to be called by another professor about this in such a manner. And she told this same story. And I'll tell the story in the end now, on why people try to cancel me all the time. Man. And he did the sensible thing. He talked with me. He checked out what she sent him on email even. And even more, she asked him, as it says here, if he was aware of my political stance, meaning I shouldn't be able to work there because of where I supposedly stands politically, which I don't think is where she thinks I stand. In any case, I was able to do something with this, and the end of the story was that he didn't listen to her. And in this news story, she is asked about this, And I talked about this in the previous YouTube video I made about this. And she calls it just an ordinary phone call. Nothing out of the ordinary here at all, trying to cancel me. And I just wanted to put that in there because, it's not very nice. And mind you, if you get angry with this, please don't contact her. I haven't done that. I'm not going to either. I'd love to meet her in a debate someday. Oh yeah, that'd be nice. But I have no reason to be angry or act with hostility towards her. It won't be too difficult for people to find out who she is, since she's outed in this news story and confirms the story. But still, nobody deserves hassle or harassment. So I just wanted to get that out there. Number 1, it's basically the same story. Since my professor then, Sven Davanger, didn't want to do something about this phone call, the same woman then called the institute leader, which is in his organization at the University of Oslo, 3 steps up. This Danish woman who's sitting there as a leader got a call, and she talked with the same professor again, who's tried to hire me all through 2021, saying, as it says here, then in August, in a meeting with my institute leader, I was warned not to have anything to do with Ellingvåg. Why not? I asked, or the professor asked, because he had been interviewed by this alternative rights platform in Norway, and that could be a problem, was the reply. And this was, of course, not so nice to do either. And the reason why this is on number 1 is because this had some severe, dire consequences for me. This is when I realized this fall that I have no chance of getting into academia. This is how they talk, this is how they communicate, having this whisper game. You know something's going on, they're talking about you. You get no everywhere you go, and otherwise you just get closed doors. People are nice and polite, but in reality, there are people calling around. And to you who are calling around, to all of you who are calling around, please stop. I mean, you're ruining people's lives. It's not nice at all. And to this woman who's called around like this, probably down to Denmark, I think, she says here in this story that she's never talked to Eske Willerslev about me, but I know whom she has talked to about me. And it must be her, since it was a Danish a female archaeologist in Oslo. And now she's involved in the same research project, which I was kicked out of. Imagine that. And I would like to say what Harald Hardrade supposedly once said. I'm not finished with the Danes. Yeah, I'd like to say that. That'd be nice. But then again, to all my Danish friends, my Danish good friends, whom I enjoy very, very much, I prefer to have you remain as friends, and for us to drink together, make toasts together, and enjoy the good life together without all this nuisance and this troublesome council culture business. And with that in mind, take care and skål.